Good evening and welcome to Land Title Talk, where we encourage you to text in your questions or comments at 904-501-4481, 904-501-4481. I'm Steve Collins from Land Title, and with me I have my beautiful guest, Rusty Collins from the law office of J. Russell Collins, affectionately known as Rusty Law. And we also have Julie here from Land Title, keeping us in line. We appreciate you being here, Julie, as always. And so, Rusty, what's going on in your world? Actually, I'm just kidding. I don't want to hear anything about your world.
Good.
I got too much to go on.
All right, good.
Yeah. I just, I'd hate to start off differently than we've always started off. So tradition, I wanted to say that. I have three things, and this may be a 2-part show, unless Blake lets us go 5 hours. Okay. Because I have plenty of things to talk about. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is tax deeds. I had a text from a client about tax deeds, and one of the questions he wanted us to go over, or the topics he wanted to speak on, was tax deeds. But before we get there, we had an interesting situation or a story, and I'm just curious as to what your advice would be in this situation. We talked about it briefly. We have a client that has a home, and he has a guest that at one time they were friends, but this guest is a known violent offender. This gentleman has served time for murder of somebody that was close to him, and he's out of prison, and he is now basically taken up residence in his friend's house. Now, his friend wasn't living there. His friend, our client, goes there from time to time, and I guess it's his homestead. It may not be, but he goes there from time to time and sleeps there. He's got to work there. It's, he's trying to get his property ready to sell. But this man is a known violent character, and he is now taken up residence and has no intentions on leaving. Now, the problem our client has with this intruder, for lack of a better word, or this now uninvited guest that decided not to be uninvited, is that they have, locked the doors, locked the gates, and he's torn down the gates and broken into the house. He is somewhat fearful to turn this person in because he called the cops one time, and when the cops showed up, can I call them cops? Is that disrespectful? I don't think so. Police officers.
Law enforcement.
How about that? We'll use law enforcement. Okay. He called law enforcement. They showed up, and this guy puts on a great act, and it turned it around on him. So now he's like, wait a minute, what do I do in this situation? Okay. Besides what you told me to do when I first told you the story. It's not even funny. Don't even say it.
Okay, so you have somebody who had permission to be there. That permission has been withdrawn.
They have permission to be there. That permission is withdrawn.
That is unlawful detainer.
Okay.
And the only lawful way I know to get him out would be through legal process. It's like an eviction. The time frames, there's no pre-notice that's required like you would in an eviction, because no rent's due. You're not terminating a rental agreement.
Right.
You file the case. He gets served. He has 5 days to answer. We have our hearings fairly quick. And I doubt he would have any kind of defense, because the only defense that works is I have a lease.
We believe he would not even show up to the hearing.
Well, then with a couple of days after a hearing, then the sheriff would put him out.
Where?
I don't care where.
Yeah,
it would be trespassed from the property.
Okay.
His stuff would be put on the curb.
And he shows up again at the house. Then what? The Wild Wild West almost comes into play.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. If the man commits some sort of act of violence or repeat violence, there's an injunctive relief which would get a law enforcement to be able to arrest him if he shows up. period, within 500 feet of him or whatever.
Right.
Okay, you have that. You have, he can be trespassed by law enforcement at this point if the unlawful detainer action is done.
Okay.
And at that point, he may be on his own. He may have to defend himself, and he may have, depending on what kind of force this guy uses, he may be lawful to respond properly with force.
It's an interesting dilemma.
It is, but there's a process. We will give this other person due process. We have to.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the locks is not going to work. It's not the right way to
in this
do it
case,
anyway.
anyhow, he just breaks in anyhow.
Right, and because he can say, I've been living here for a while, he's not burglarizing the house.
That's true.
He's taking up residence. He probably gets his mail there if he gets mail. So, and because he has not entered without permission, there's a change in the law which would allow for quick non-judicial removal, but that won't apply here. So he has to be judicially taken care of, and then a deputy would have to serve him a writ of possession, then execute on it. That would give him trespass. His stuff can be put on the curb, and then the client has no more liability for it.
Right.
There's lots of things you can do, but you got to protect yourself. So that's why you would go through those steps.
Right.
And if he's that afraid of the person, well, if this person were to commit violence, then he can respond if he had to.
Right. Crazy.
He let him in the first time.
He did. I mean, people change too, so it wasn't,
of course.
Yeah.
But it's not like he let him in not knowing he had a past.
He did. He did let him in knowing he had a past. I mean, they were just great friends before, but how that can sour
Stuff
quickly.
changes.
Yeah, people's mentality do change. All right, got another story for you. So we have a situation, and listen, we're not naming any names. So if this sounds familiar to you, you don't, we want to just keep the names from coming up, which you're good at that most days. So we have a situation where a gentleman was in the Walmart parking lot. Okay. And he's leaving Walmart, but he sees this older gentleman looking for his vehicle. And he can tell that he's confused. And so the gentleman in the vehicle goes up to the man and says, what are you looking for? Can I help you? He says, I think it was somewhere over here. I don't know. I'm just so confused. I don't know where I parked. I can't find my car. I'm very frustrated. And this gentleman in this vehicle decides to be a good Samaritan and says, all right, I will help you find your vehicle. You keep looking here. I'll look over here. And so the gentleman jumps back into his vehicle and starts to look for the vehicle. In the process of this, he accidentally hits a young woman who falls to the ground, scraped up. The guy, horrified, jumps out of the vehicle, says, "Are you okay?" And this happens right in the front of Walmart, okay? Jumps out and says, "Are you okay?" And all that kind of good stuff. And he looks at her and he can see that, oh man. And she's like, "I'm okay. I just want to get in my car and go home." And he's like, "Well, wait a minute. You seem pretty bumped up. Won't you let me take you to your parents, wherever they are?" And she says, "Well, my father works over here and he's still there. So if you take me to him, that'd be great." And so she jumps into his vehicle. Now she's dazed. Okay. I mean, obviously she doesn't have her best about her. Okay. And I think the story is that actually what happened is he's like, "Here, let me get you to your vehicle." She jumps in the car. They drive to her vehicle. And then that's when the guy says, "Can I just take you to wherever your parents are," or whatever. She says yes. Takes her to her parents or to her father. Okay. And then, father seemed grateful. But the interesting part of the story is that because it happened in front of Walmart, what do you think everybody did?
Well, there's plenty of video running everywhere. Yeah. Okay. And everybody carries their own video camera.
Right.
So I'm sure there's plenty of evidence of what actually happened, I hope.
Well, what does it look like happened?
Oh, it looked like he hit her and ran off with her.
Yeah. How would you represent that person?
Well, if you've got a so-called victim, and I do not know this story.
Okay, I didn't know you didn't know it.
If you have a so-called victim who says, I'm not a victim, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, everybody called 911. The cops show up in force, and there's the missing vehicle, the missing person. I mean, this is like a kidnap case, okay? Which I hear that we actually had an attempted kidnapping on 206 somewhere.
There was one yesterday. I don't have the details, but there was a video of a gentleman dragging a woman to a pickup truck, but she got away, and I believe he was apprehended.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it's going to start real stressful when the law enforcement shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, and best thing to do when that happens is surrender.
Okay.
And say, I sure like to talk to an attorney. We got video. And here's the so-called victim, and I was just trying to help her, and she says, I'm just trying to help her.
What in the story is pretty interesting is that the victim, the father, the mother of the victim actually knew the person that hit
and took
the girl. Nobody knew that at the moment, because what the guy who was driving the car did is he gave the father his phone number and say, hey, any medical expenses, let me know. So, but she told the driver of the car, listen, I know you, but do you know how bad this looked?
Well, it could look bad, but as long as law enforcement understands what happened, you're fine. I mean, people are going to say what they want to say.
What should have the man in the car done?
Paid attention while driving.
Well, okay, we get that. After the incident, what's the proper procedure? You as an attorney, what would the counsel be that you would give? And, this is really a question you would ask maybe the sheriff or maybe a law enforcement officer. But I just want your point of view as an attorney. What would your suggestion be? How would you handle that situation? If you're the person driving the car and you accidentally hit this woman, okay?
But she's not really hurt.
She's hurt.
Well, she might be hurting, but she's not.
She doesn't need medical.
She doesn't need life support.
Well, how about this? She didn't need an ambulance ride only because the guy took her away. Had somebody else came and evaluated her, maybe they would have thought differently.
Well, the point
she did have a concussion. She did have, some major.
How old is this person?
I think she was 18 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. She could have been 17. I think she was in high school.
I would be more concerned about the parents and how they think about things and how
he got lucky.
Reacting.
But what should he have done at that moment?
I think he should have attended to her there.
Probably just stop, not move, let the law enforcement come.
But he knew her.
Did not know her.
But they knew her. How did they know him?
It was just by coincidence.
Okay.
That didn't surface till several days after the accident.
Okay. Well,
actually, it wasn't several because it had to be the day after because that's when the mom made the phone call and
so he didn't recognize her.
No.
Well,
no, he didn't know the girl. I mean, it was a stranger to him.
Well,
what should have you done in that situation? And that's another point. What if you did know the person? Should you still wait for law enforcement? I mean, it's an interesting point.
Well,
because we know in a if you have a vehicle accident, at what point do you need to call law enforcement in the state of Florida?
There's a threshold of damage.
Okay. Fender bender, give each other insurance information, move on.
If it's, right. I think it's, and it might be wrong, but it might be, I think it's like $200 worth of damage.
Okay. Anything more?
Well, yeah, but if I scratch your truck, that's $200. Okay. So I don't know.
It's $5,000. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, my point is
pain and suffering.
That's not damage to the vehicle.
I know.
You have to, I'd be looking at the law just because.
I don't expect you to have the answer. I think it's just an interesting conversation.
But you must be, number one, leaving the scene of an accident.
Which that's something you do know about.
Well, if there's bodily injury,
mm-hmm.
If that person
even if you take the body with you, that's
Well, that's a little different.
You have to clear out the trunk first.
It's just a weird situation.
I mean,
okay?
the girl got in the passenger
She
side,
did.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't throw her in the trunk. I mean,
She wasn't.
It is Walmart, so
She was dazed.
well,
She
yeah.
didn't have a concussion.
Well,
She wasn't thinking clearly.
but you can have a concussion
was
from
he.
roller
So
skating.
because he left the scene of an accident without bodily injury,
Well,
or with
with
bodily
bodily
injury,
injury,
but
but
he had the body with him, I guess that he's okay.
What we punish is the amount of damage done to the person, the victim, because you were not there rendering aid.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of
Hit and
what
run.
happens.
Okay.
Okay. He wasn't trying to avoid anything.
No.
I think there's some mitigation there, but
Yeah.
stay out of Walmart parking lot. I mean, golly, pay. Okay,
That's official
he's trying to help.
counsel from an attorney.
Okay.
Stay out of
Okay,
Walmart
when it's
parking lot.
crowded, and I mean, first of all, he's helping one person.
I know.
can't
It's
figure out
just,
what's
I
going
mean, the story's just weird.
Okay, so the Good Samaritan could have had a bad day
A really bad day.
because if law enforcement shows up
And he was distracted because he was looking for this gentleman's car.
right, so that's distracted driving.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to do a good thing.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're trying to do a good thing; you still got to pay attention.
Yeah.
And believe me, it's easy with all those people walking around. It can happen. That's why we call them accidents.
Yeah.
So best thing to do is make sure your insurance is good.
Okay. We got to get the tax deeds.
All right.
One more story.
All right.
But I think the last we heard, that gentleman's still wandering around the Walmart parking lot looking for his car.
Looking for his car. That's that trailer you see parked out at Walmart. He's living there now.
He's right there.
Yeah. Trailer has been there for years. And again, I don't expect you, listen, part of the fun of the show is just having fun. I mean, not all this is legal analysis, but just interesting to think about and things to take in consideration. So I have a friend, and and it's not funny. Okay. It's not funny.
That's why you're laughing. Okay.
I'm just, the irony of it is just flipping weird. Okay. And it may, sometimes instead of crying, you just giggle. Okay. She's driving home from work late, and some dude just hits her. She hits her in her car. She crashes. And,
Did somebody run a stop sign or?
yeah, something about a stop sign or a stoplight, something. It was an obvious his mistake. He, I guess, runs down the street a little ways more before he crashes and gets out of his car. He's buck naked and disappears into the woods.
Okay.
Okay. So literally a hit and run.
Definitely
Okay.
run.
He's definitely running. I don't know if they ever caught the guy. But, and this is really, see, we're giggling. It's really a sad situation. She's okay. I mean, she has some pain and she has some injury to her vehicle, obviously. But of course, the guy that hit her didn't have insurance.
Of course.
Of course. And so where does she go? She did not have uninsured motorist coverage.
Well, there's the reason to have uninsured motorist coverage.
There's the reason to have uninsured motor coverage.
Okay. I mean,
She got an attorney to try to, take care of things. But when the attorney came back to her, says, what are we going to get? I mean,
the judgment that you have to figure out how to turn into money.
well, hopefully he will one day, win the lotto or something. Who knows?
Well, I mean, if you cause an accident.
I mean, I don't know if I think the guy was arrested finally. I mean, I don't know, but it just left her in a bad state, and she has no financial recourse or protection because of that one clause. Because what would happen is if she had uninsured motorist coverage, then her insurance company would help her.
And then they would go after him.
And then it'd go after him, which is much better than you having to go after this guy.
Right. And uninsured motorist coverage is a good coverage to have. It's not necessarily inexpensive. You got to figure out where the sweet spot is and where your risk and reward is.
Right.
Because you can always be overinsured, and, problem with insurance is you don't need it till you can't get it. It's just an expense.
Yeah.
Until you can't get it and you need it. The person who caused the accident, if they found him and charged him and he doesn't have insurance coverage, then under the responsibility laws, he's not going to be able to get his license without it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, that it's a risk. When you get in the car and drive, you take a risk. Hopefully it's a calculated risk that you have done what you can do to mitigate the risks. Like pay attention, wear your seatbelt, pay attention.
Wear your seatbelt.
Wear your seatbelt.
Pay attention, wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself get distracted.
Right.
And be hypervigilant. I mean, yesterday morning coming into work, they've got a new traffic light on State Road 208.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Well, there are no other traffic lights on 208, and it's close to where they're building the subdivision. They're doing something with 208, and they had to put
I remember when 16 didn't have any stoplights on it.
But it's a temporary traffic light.
Okay.
Yesterday morning, I'm driving to work at 5 a.m, dark, and I see these red lights. I'm like,
what's that?
What is that? And I'm driving up to them, and they're still red. I'm like, wow,
and you drive right through it.
And went right through it. And then I get down on 16. I'm like, did I just run a red light? Did I just run a red light?
Yeah.
I sure did. But, it was weird. Not paying attention.
Accidents happen.
Right.
Yeah. Well, uninsured motorist. One of those many things you need to look into your insurance. When you're out quoting, you're getting a quote for insurance, you're trying to get the cheapest insurance. You got to be careful about that.
It's better to pay a little bit too much than a little bit not enough.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Everybody who has a license, we have to have insurance. Okay.
Right.
And if there's a minimum amount that you have to have. Well,
but what kind? Because you can get cheaper insurance.
Right.
But it may not be the best. All these ads on YouTube and Facebook. Don't, buy insurance, floor it till you pay, see this ad. Well, I bet you they don't have uninsured motorist coverage.
You have to look. See what
I bet you they don't.
That's
based
probably
on the price.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing.
And it's all great till you need it.
I'm supposed to have my insurance and you're supposed to have your insurance.
We're supposed to.
But until if somebody's insurance lapses, they can have.
How many times have you represented somebody who's driving a vehicle they shouldn't be?
It's been more than once. Okay. But the point is when your insurance gets canceled, and you'll lose your driver's license, your driving privilege, but nobody really cares until they get stopped and then their license is suspended and then they get arrested. So,
well, do you think this guy had an active license that crashed into this girl heading home from work?
I think he had something else active. I think he had something in his head that was active.
Yeah, he had something that was very active in his head.
Yeah.
Do you think he had a license? An active license?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't.
So. Well, he's sitting in jail, probably. Or he's been arrested for it, I hope.
I hope.
But, I don't know it'd be nice to know what happened, why he had the accident, although it doesn't matter.
I may try to get his name. I may have you look it up just for craps and giggles because I'm sort of curious myself. I'm just really sad for my friend that has, no coverage.
A long time ago, we had a friend named Linda got in an accident out where 13 goes to.
I've taken a deep breath on purpose. That was a horrible accident.
16 and 13 merged together and going over the Shands Bridge. Yeah. And she had an accident there. And he was uninsured and didn't have a license. And she was in headgear and all kinds of stuff for a long time. Yeah. Almost died.
She had the halo, didn't she?
Had the halo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very serious stuff. All right. Well, I just had to bring up those three things. How many things did I bring up? 2, 3, whatever it was.
That's been 3.
Yeah,
keep moving tax deeds down the line.
But we've got to talk about tax deeds. And again, this may be something that we have to talk about more on another show because I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it all. But Rusty, tax deeds. First of all, what are the difference between tax deeds and tax certificates? Because people do get those confused. They don't understand.
All right. So everybody who owns real estate in Florida has a duty to pay the real estate taxes when they are assessed and billed. Some people don't have the cash flow to do that, but the counties still need the cash flow. The taxes that the county assesses still must be paid. So the way we get that job done is we allow other people to pay those taxes and receive an investment. So every year, taxes are due by March 31st of the year following the tax year. So right now, at the 2024 taxes should have been paid. And
the interesting thing is that the 2024 taxes are due
in March 1st, 2025.
No, January 1st, 2024.
They are assessed. They are a lien. They're not payable until November
of 2024.
And they are due March 1st because you get a discount for paying early.
Right.
And then they're delinquent April 1st.
Right. So they're paid in arrears.
We pay in arrears.
Right.
And some people can opt to pay the taxes quarterly, starting in June of the year that they're assessed. And there's no real benefit discount wise, but it does help people with cash flow issues. But the taxes need to be collected because we need the money to run.
Got to pay our school board. We got to pay our law enforcement. I mean, that's where all that money comes from.
Got to pay the mosquito control.
St.
John's River Water Management.
That's really important in our county.
But the point is, they got to get paid. So the way it gets done is we allow people to get an investment. And that is with the tax certificates. So there's a process for publishing the tax certificates that are being sold. And then they have an auction where the investors will bid down the interest rate.
Because it starts at 18?
I think it starts at 18 and then goes down. And sometimes it goes all the way down to 25 basis points, 0.25%.
Right.
But they get a minimum amount of tax. And a lot of those taxes that aren't paid on time get paid in the next 6 months.
A majority of them, I would think.
And then what that does is, well, if you take that small interest rate and you get a minimum, then what you have is you have a pretty good annual return doing that.
You do. And pretty safe investment for the most part.
For the most part.
There are some pitfalls, though, to certificate buying.
Of course.
Okay.
But then, so the tax certificates, they accrue interest. After.
I want to talk about the tax certificates a little more. Some people believe that, tax certificates are just a safe investment. And I beg to differ because you do need to care about the property in which that tax certificate is against.
There are some gotchas.
Because if it's environmentally sensitive land, or if it's got some kind of contamination on it,
or has a conservation easement on it,
or a big conservation easement on it, you buy that certificate. If nobody applies for a tax deed in 7 years, your investment and money goes.
Right. The tax deed will expire.
Right. Well, no, the tax certificate expires.
Tax certificate.
Yeah. So you can't just blindly. I had one investor tell me, well, tax certificates are safe because I'm going to get paid off one way or another. Well, that's not true. We had one guy buy a tax certificate that was $100,000 for a subdivision of some sort. Well, the problem is that the had a bunch of wetlands and the subdivision was never getting approved, and he was running out of time. So you got to be careful about what you spend your tax certificate money on.
Right. You got to be a wise investor.
And by the way, when I said 100,000, I don't know what it was. It could have been 60, could have been 80, but I just rounded up. So, but no, it was a lot of money. The point is, okay.
Right. So now you have that year that you buy. If it goes another year, that's fine. But in the third year, after the third year is not paid, somebody who owns a tax certificate can make application for tax deed, which you pay. If you only bought 1 year out of the 3, then you got to pay the other 2 years and some fees to the tax collector. And then they get the clerk involved to go through the notice process to have the tax deed sale.
Okay. Those notices are what?
The notices for tax deed sales, There's a letter. It gets recorded in the public records. They will many times serve process on you, but a lot of these tax deeds are being done on vacant land. Okay. But they
don't do notice. I mean, actually come in knocking on your door.
They will use a process server. If you're in the county, yeah, they'll do a process server.
I didn't know that on a tax deed.
Yeah.
Are you 100% sure?
I've been served many times. I have been served.
You're talking about the mailman coming to you and says, sign this certified letter.
I'm talking about the process.
I don't think
server.
is that statute? That's not statutory though. That's just the county being extra diligent.
It's statutory.
What?
There are certain times when it's statutory.
Like what?
Like you're in town.
Okay, so are you sure about that?
I am very sure because I get served for people where I serve as trustee.
Okay.
I
thought tax deeds were solely only the certified letter,
no,
the publishing, the recording, and then if the certified letter comes back undeliverable, then regular mail.
That's not statutory.
Okay, talk to me what statutory then, because obviously I'm confused.
The statutory framework is...
I rely on you for this stuff, so
I have a checklist, but the statutory framework is set up that it's very likely to give actual notice of the situation. What we care about, okay, everybody's deemed...
there you go.
Everybody's deemed to know
yes.
that if you have an interest in real estate, you have taxes to be paid. That is, everybody knows that. And
Unless
if they don't know that...
You claim some declaration that you are independent of... what do some of those people try to claim?
I'm
a sovereign of some... taxes don't apply to me. Some kind of crazy insanity.
And money's not real.
Yeah.
But you got to render under Caesar, okay? So everybody's deemed to know. But the due process required by the Florida United States and the United States Constitution requires that people get notice that they're about ready to lose an asset. Okay? You have to have due process to lose life, liberty, or property.
Yeah, I just didn't know that there was a process server for a tax deed. So if you live in St. Johns County and there's a tax deed application, there's going to be a guy knocking on your door.
I get served right before almost every tax deed sale.
Hey, I learned something new.
Yeah, I get served and I say, hi, how you doing? Who do I got to call? Because I have investors that I hold title for that use the tax certificates as...
Well, that makes you feel better because I have a
lender.
property out there. I've just decided, good loan.
Okay, and that's fine.
And I don't have to worry about a certified letter being unnoticed or a letter going up, missing a letter. It's going to show up. Process server is going to serve me.
Most likely.
Let's see. Why do you use that word most likely? Because if it's most likely, then that means that there's an exception.
Well, okay. Number one.
Because I can tell you in a foreclosure, there's not a most likely.
Yeah, there is.
Well, they can
publish
if
they don't have other ways of getting to you. So there's a statutory construction. All right. So first thing that happens is the property appraiser makes sure the data is given to who was last assessed. Okay. So if that person's assessed, if it's somewhere we can serve them, great. So
they do a title search.
A title
hire a
search
title
is ordered.
company to do a title search.
Okay, and that's just really to find who the owner of record is, any mortgage lenders, anybody who has a contract for deed, anybody who has a lien, even homeowners associations if they have liens.
Right.
So that search is done. Now, the property appraiser and the tax collector and clerk are allowed to rely on that information, even if it's faulty. Even if it's faulty, they're allowed to. They can rely on it.
Interesting. That's a little loophole that would be interesting.
Okay, but it's not rocket science.
Go ahead.
If there's a problem, they're allowed to rely on it. We're allowed to rely on what's on the public record.
I get that. But if they don't find it, if the title company misses it,
then they did the search.
Okay, and they're allowed to rely on that.
They're allowed to rely on it.
Okay. That's just...
But if it gets to me, I'm not allowed to rely on it.
Well, you're not. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, we'll get
so
to that.
Anyway, then they will send out notices by certified mail, which I don't know. Has anybody received good news by certified mail? So when you get that notice in the mail,
I hope to one day.
The last time I got good news by certified mail, it was my oath to become an attorney in 2008. And that was sent to my attorney.
One day somebody's going to send me this certified letter saying, hey,
here's some money.
Yeah, here's some money.
Good luck. So
Public Search Clearinghouse or something, I'm hoping.
Okay, good. Let's sign up for that. So they send out the certified mail. It can come back. That's fine. But what's
undeliverable.
It can be undeliverable. It can be they're dead. We don't know.
Or they rejected it.
You don't have to go pick it up.
Okay.
What matters is, did the clerk follow the statutory requirements?
Okay. And that's the statutory requirements.
That's right. So
what about this regular mail issue that you told me about, that if they publish, and now I know if they have a process server, if they're local. If they're not local, the process server is not required.
If they're in Florida, we try to do it. I think they try to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Blowing my mind here. I looked at those tax files. I don't remember seeing a process server in those tax files. Am I crazy?
You're crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
so,
all right, but so all of that happens. So if they publish, they have the process server.
So if the certified mail comes back undeliverable, we don't know if it was rejected or what happened, right? So if the clerk gets actual notice that service of some sort, if everything's failed, and there's time, then they have a duty to try something else.
And what's that?
Regular mail.
But this is
okay. But that's not statutory. It says that they have to try to do something.
So regular mail can count as that. Try.
They have to try. Now, if they get the letter back the day before the tax deed sale, they don't have to do anything.
They don't have to do anything because statutorily they're not required to, and the tax sale is good.
Right.
Okay.
So
define that date. I mean, that's a hard date to define.
It's not defined. Okay.
All right.
It's reasonable under the circumstances. I mean,
so I get a notice back. I'm the clerk of the court, and my notice comes back that in reference to the tax sale on XYZ property, I got 2 weeks before the sale. As long as I send a regular mail letter 2 weeks before the sale,
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. If it's reasonable to do so. Okay. But reasonable is not defined.
Okay.
The idea is that the statutory process and the case law requires that the clerk take actions that are likely to give actual notice.
Okay.
Okay. Because we do want people to get notice. And if those things are done, the tax deed is kind of like crane technique, endo defend. Okay. A tax deed is a deed from the king. It wipes out, it is considered a brand new title, like a patent from the United States. Okay, it's a brand new title. It's not a continuation of the old title. Certain things do survive, like the homeowners association.
They survive, but not the liens.
They reset.
Right.
Okay, so the association, if they had a lien, they had an opportunity to buy the tax, redeem the taxes or bid at the sale.
And that's unique because in a mortgage foreclosure, that's not the case.
Right. The mortgage.
You buy a mortgage foreclosure, you have to pay all back association fees.
If you're the buyer at the sale and not the lender who
not the lender, right? The lender has to pay what, 12 months,
year, yeah.
Or 1% of the mortgage, whichever is less, something like that.
So yeah, you have that.
So that's pretty good,
right? Because it's a new title, it's not the continuation.
Right. So it wipes out associations, it wipes out IRS.
It'll wipe out IRS.
So, but IRS has 120 days.
They can redeem for 120 days if they think they want to. And
you buy that tax deed, you wait 120 days. IRS, bye.
Right.
Okay.
If there was a lien, okay.
Mortgages
gone. Go away. I've actually got rid of a mortgage that way before we started doing this other tax certification thing. I actually served kind of fun, making the lender go bye.
Only an attorney could say that.
Right. But certain things do survive. Municipal liens are considered to be the same level of debt as a tax deed.
Which I don't get, but okay.
Well,
I guess the sovereign can't wipe itself out. And a municipality is not really, though. I mean, I never quite understood. I wonder if statutorily, is it clear in the statutes that a municipality does survive a tax deed? Is that clear?
I think it's clear.
Or is you think it's clear? You don't know that's clear.
Okay, I really look up stuff all the time. Okay?
Do you think so? If you had to bet on that?
I'd bet it survives.
I just don't know if somebody just hasn't taken it to task. Because the municipality has the same rights.
They do, but
they could buy the property.
Right.
I know the taxes is for them, so I guess I get that. But I mean that we've had horrible issues with municipality liens and tax deeds.
Right. Well, remember, if the I lean towards if it's fines. That's one thing.
That was funny.
Yes, I know. If it's fines, it might be one thing. If it's we put money out to board up your house, or we demoed the house, or we had to fix something to make it safe so people wouldn't go in there and hurt themselves, that's a whole different thing. Because if the county or the city put money out because there's
but it's in bad faith. The whole reason for the tax sale is to get the money back into the coffers.
It is,
and I feel like they have every right to acquire the property and make that lien, one with the. I hate that. I just hate that because
you hate that because
some poor investor who doesn't know any better buys this great vacant lot in the city of St. Augustine. And actually the story was in the city of St. Augustine Beach. And there's a $300,000 municipality lien. Okay.
I know
they've lost
property.
their money. Yeah, you do know about that property.
Okay, but here's the thing. Most of that's, I think.
It did not go.
That hasn't sold.
And it's not going away.
No. But I bet the city of St. Augustine Beach will make a deal.
The people who called on it, they said no. Okay. Now I'm basing this from memory of 3 years ago.
It's not been 3 years.
How long has it been?
They filed bankruptcy and stopped the sale.
Okay.
I have a mortgage I'm trying to foreclose on. I can't get service to process on the people.
Okay. How long have you had it? I've known about this for 3 years.
Okay. Well, I know it's been around because
the lien's been around for more than that.
The key here is, I think if somebody were to, if you're going to go buy it, you might be able to make a deal, because what the city of St. Augustine Beach wants.
I think city of St. Augustine has. I was going to say it a certain way, and I don't want to say it this way.
Okay.
The city of St. Augustine is hard on. Oh, gosh, I said it anyhow. The city of St. Augustine, a beach, feels it's personal to them. At least 3 years ago, when I was first calling up, that's the impression I got.
Right, but here's
and I
the
know leadership changes and so forth
it
too.
Does.
So and maybe I love the city of St. Augustine Beach, but on this one particular point,
this property is on the corner, right? It's on the corner of A1A and whatever road it's on. Okay, because I don't know the other road name.
Well, that's good.
Okay, but it's on a corner.
Mm-hmm.
It is an eyesore.
Mm-hmm.
What they really need is for somebody to invest in making it not an eyesore.
That's the point.
Well,
and we're getting away from tax deeds, but
there's a benefit to the beach.
There is, but they make it
benefit
cost prohibitive. They should foreclose on themselves, pay the taxes, be exempt from whatever it is, and deal with the issue instead of waiting for some poor, unsuspecting sucker to buy the tax deed.
Well,
okay, that's just my personal feelings.
Maybe so.
All right. But so municipalities' liens are not expunged on a tax deed.
And if there's a separate CDD lien.
Yeah, that scares me, by the way.
Well, most of our CDDs are taken care of in our taxes, but some aren't. But they're on the same level.
Yeah, the CDD thing is one of those things that I just don't necessarily comprehend, because where's the notice on that? How do you look up a CDD on a piece of property? Where do you go for that? Tax collector?
Probably.
No.
I don't know who does it.
You type I don't know either.
Well,
some of these CDDs are managed
by private companies.
Yeah, and it's not even invoiced through the tax collector somehow. Is it some insanity?
You have the notice because the CDD or those requirements are part of the restrictions, and they are are recorded.
You're right. All right. Okay. Some of the other things that a tax. So if you're an investor on a tax deed, you need to make sure that there's no municipality liens. I don't know how you do that because they're not all recorded. And an
unrecorded municipality lien is not going to be noticed.
Right.
But they're not. An unrecorded municipality lien will not survive.
It will survive.
How?
The municipalities.
If it's recorded or not
No,
recorded?
if it's not recorded, that sucker's still outstanding. Every tax deed I've ever dealt with, Rusty, where he's going to look it up. I love it. Every tax deed I've ever dealt with where a municipality lien was filed against the property, and not even filed against the property, but they had it in their file that there's an issue and it was never recorded, they still demanded payment. And if you can show me something that says to the contrary, I'm going to be freaking ecstatic about it. Because then that puts us at ease that I can do my title search and feel confident that I can tell my customer, hey, you can buy this tax deed and you're going to be okay. Duval County does not record those municipality liens, Rusty. They're in their little separate little index thing that you have to look into. And you can go online and check it. But they're not budging off of those things.
Everything I've got tells me that they do not survive if they're not recorded.
Oh, well, hot frickety dog. I mean, that's something I need to know because that's a big issue. A recorded lien, I have no problem with that because then my investor, if they're smart, they're going to get me involved anyhow. I'm going to do a preliminary check on the title. I'm going to see if there's any liens there. Hey, there's a lien. Okay, now they don't buy. It's the freaking municipality liens that we can't find because they're not recorded that my clients are dealing with. And those municipalities are standing strong on that point.
Well, they can stand strong, but if somebody,
well, hey, guess what, Mr. Attorney? Guess what, Mr. Attorney? There's a $150,000 municipality lien that was not recorded that we're just dealing with on another file right now. We had to negotiate down to $36,000. You know what? I bet you some lovely investor will pay you $10,000 to make that $36,000 lien go away.
I'd like to see the facts on that because pretty heavy. So they're not okay. So by themselves, they're not super priority liens. Okay.
By themselves, they're not super priority
unless if they're recorded, they survive. If they're not recorded, they don't survive.
You see that right there? Because obviously we're gonna talk about this more next week because we can't cover all the issues.
The priority of liens is determined by what?
Recordation.
There you go.
But not municipalities. They're the exception. Please, here's the one thing I want to do. One thing I love doing is being wrong. I love it when I'm wrong. And so you table that thought.
I'm pretty sure of what I'm saying.
Pretty sure in your world.
That's just because I want to re-verify before I start standing strong.
Okay. This is going to be a topic for our next show because we obviously don't have time to cover all of that right now. But that's an important thing for me and my investors because I can check the public records. What about Duval? They don't ever record their liens.
But you can check to see them.
You can, but they're not recorded, Rusty. Are they?
They're not recorded.
So if what you're telling me is true, then it falls under that same rule. They have to be recorded.
I think they need to, unless there's for some reason. The biggest issue is can you go look for them? But that's not the public record. But actually,
it's not the public records, Rusty.
When you look at the taxes for property in Duval County, it does come up with the unrecorded liens.
Not anymore. They have a separate website you have to go to.
Okay, well, I've seen them
not there. They used to.
Okay,
used to be on the taxes. Remember, we used to have to go down to the courthouse.
Oh, we used to have to go to a different building.
Freaking drove us crazy in this index. Remember the Rolodexes we have to look at for those things?
No,
it was nightmarish, But so, that'd be great. One other thing I want to say about tax deeds. Love my investors to buy tax deeds. We need people to buy tax deeds. It helps things keep flowing, right?
That's the idea.
Right.
We want money flowing. We want the money to flow into the coffer, into the budget. Okay.
Right.
That's important. There's a statutory way to do that so that even if the homeowner or property owner can't do it, somebody will, and then they have an investment, and then eventually somebody can invest in a tax deed. It keeps property moving because a lot of times it's, Uncle Joe died and Uncle Joe's kids didn't know anything about it and they don't want to pay for it. And maybe it's a, old fuddy-duddy lot that nobody thinks is worthwhile.
Right.
And we don't need it to sit stagnant.
No. Another thing to watch out for when buying tax deeds, zoning and the comprehensive land plan. Rusty, what could be an issue with the tax deed on that? I already have my answer.
Okay, well, you don't know.
I just want to hear your answer.
Okay, my answer would be, and I haven't checked on it, but zoning's always going to be an issue because you may not be able to do what you want to do with it. But comprehensive land plan, just because if you can cut the property in half, if you can describe it, you can convey it, and you can get a new tax ID number for it.
Yeah, the comment I get from people, I've been paying taxes on this for 5 years. What do you mean I can't get a building permit? If there's assessing it, if they cut it in a parcel, then that means that it should be able to get all building permits.
Well, not here.
Nope.
Not in Florida.
Doesn't happen.
But
I mean, we've had situations to where, okay, you got, the family farm, right?
Yes.
What does a family farm do? Family farm says
the family farm allows somebody to build to convey a part of their property to their kid or member of the family so they can build on it.
Case in point, if you get agricultural, if you have agricultural land, right?
Right.
Okay. Agricultural says you can only have 1 unit to 20 acres in the comprehensive land plan. Family farm, cut off an acre for your
20
child.
kids, yeah.
Okay. Your kid has to build a house there and live there.
In order for that to work.
What happens if that kid never pays his taxes?
Has the house been built yet?
No.
Well, that's a problem.
Okay. These are things
I haven't seen that dealt with.
I mean, it's an interesting dilemma.
Well, I don't know what the county's stance is on that, and I don't know if there's
they're not going to give a building permit.
Okay, you've seen it happen then.
Well, I mean, I haven't. I don't want to stand firm on that either until I double check, but it's an interesting question.
Sounds like a building permit person question.
I mean, but
I mean,
in order for the family farm to work, you have to have the family member build a house and live there.
Right.
Otherwise,
everybody does that instead of making
it's a non-compliance conveyance, and therefore both parcels become invalid. Did you know that?
Become unbuildable. They're both non-compliant.
They're non-compliant, right?
But how often does that happen? You think mom and dad going to let the property go for taxes?
It happens.
How many times have you seen it happen?
Once.
Okay.
I've only been in this business since '84.
Okay.
But I mean, it's an interesting problem.
An interesting dilemma. I don't know if there is a provision that takes care of that. I've never had to think about it.
I don't think there is.
But the whole purpose of the reasoning for those rules is we don't want people gaming the system.
Right.
I don't think you're going to game the system to say, I'm going to cut this parcel off, give it to you, and then we're going to let it go for taxes. And then I
don't think they're gaming the system, but I don't think there's a provision in the law that protects those people. The county's just not going to say, "Oh well, sorry, here's a building permit." Just ain't going to happen. So you got to be careful. And the point is that when you're an investor for tax deeds, we want you to align yourself with a good title company or somebody that's going to help you out to check these things. You want to check out are there any municipality liens? And we're going to figure out next week whether or not a municipality lien actually survives if it's not recorded. I think it does. I hope Rusty's right and I'm wrong. What kind of zoning is it? What the comprehensive land plan is for? All these things can be found out. This is work you need to look into. There's not only is the value there and is the property nice or is the home nice? There are other things you got to look into to make sure that you're protecting yourself. You have, on vacant land, especially wetland issues. If it's right, jurisdictionally
you
wet,
don't just pick a legal description and go bid on it. You're going to want to do some of your own.
You have to go.
I don't know anybody who just does that.
Well, unfortunately, yes, you do. There's been people.
Yeah,
they come into your office crying. Okay. The rest is like, when was that? I don't remember somebody crying in my office. I see that look before. No, but seriously, we've had people come in and they've got these problems.
Well, yeah, but
because they are either getting in for the first time or they let their guard down or whatever. It's happened.
Well, the unrecorded stuff would be something like the zoning. But again, you can look up zoning before you go bid.
You can look up zoning and comp. In any county, you really can. But it's important that you do that. So we also have, and then we talked about this on one of our shows about the easements. Easements survive tax deeds.
Yes, they do.
All right. Conservation easements are a big thing too. Buy a piece of property you can't do anything with.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
Rude. All right. So with all these things in reference to a tax deed, there's also, you buy a tax deed, you have the 4-year statute, right?
There's a statute of limitations on tax deeds. If nobody's done anything for 4 years, they are barred.
Right. So if I buy a tax deed, what are my options? How do I take the property and prepare it for me to sell it or to improve upon it or do whatever?
Well, you can always improve upon it. You may not be able to get a loan to do that.
Well, but you're at risk for the 4 years.
Yeah, but they would
because if somebody comes back in 4 years, and we've had a case where somebody came back under the Christmas clause.
What's the Christmas clause? I heard that one.
She did, where the guy had the tax deed lawsuit, and they're doing a suit to quiet title, and he claimed that it was Christmas time. I didn't get my certified mail. He called it the Christmas clause.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas clause.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we'd like to have gone to trial on.
Oh, I know we would have won. Too bad people wanted to pay that thing off. That would have been a fun one.
Yeah.
But so, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you have that 4 years, right? And then within that 4 years, somebody can come back, right?
Right.
So, and
you can get rid of it completely by doing a quiet title suit, which really but remember, the 4 year challenge is, I paid the taxes.
You mean their defense is?
The defense is I paid the taxes already.
Right. That's defense number one. So if your final suit to quiet title on a taxi that you bought, in the defense one could be, I paid the taxes.
Here's my receipt. I don't know why they sold the property.
They do. Okay. What's defense number two?
Defense number two is my address was shown on the property appraiser's data, and they did not mail me a thing, and they don't have proof that they mailed you anything, and there's no certification that they mailed me anything. Therefore, I did not get notice.
Right.
That's why they try service or process.
Right.
And they publish,
put in the paper.
Right.
Like, because everybody reads the paper these days.
Right. The thing about this notice is they don't have to actually get notice.
They have notice.
Well, right, but for the due process
I get
issue to be dealt with, they don't have to actually get notice. Okay? I mean, we publish in the newspaper, but if you're living in California, why would you look in the St. Augustine Record? Okay? The service that was done or the method that was used must be highly likely to give actual notice. If I send the certified mail, not all certified mail goes right to where it's got to go, and then it comes right back if it doesn't get served, or if people don't pick it up. It might. You could have. They didn't get notice because they didn't pick it up, and the envelope
that's what the
came
guy
back
did
after the sale was done.
That's what the Christmas call guy.
Well,
claimed.
that one actually, they're still out there. Okay,
they're still out in La La Land.
They're still out in California. Yeah. Nobody knows where they are. But
it's probably in his P.O. box still. He just didn't want to pick it up.
It was the surplus notices that came back.
Right.
But here's the thing.
And that's actually how he found out he lost his property to taxes.
Right.
Was a surplus notice.
Right.
And there's a freaking buttload of surplus in that deal.
There was. And there's a buttload of title company liability too. But the issue though is if it comes back beforehand, they got to try something else, like regular mail.
Okay, so defense one, I paid my taxes. Defense two, didn't get proper notice. Defense three?
Well, I did not get proper notice, and I complied with the statutory requirements to get notice.
Okay, like he had correct information.
Correct information.
With the property appraiser.
Right.
Any third defense?
I don't know the third.
So you got two opportunities. But in that 4 years,
they're highly likely to lose.
But in that 4 years, they have the right to challenge it.
Right. Well, they can challenge any time they want, but their ability to win goes away.
That's a good point. It's expensive to be right. Blake, do we have more time? Yeah, do we have any more time, Blake? Can we go late today or? Gotta like Blake. Good old Blake. We love you, Blake.
So, but what happened is we were up against an attorney who was wanting to make some case law because he's wanting to make the statute change, and you get a case that screws up a bunch of people, then the statute could change, and we could have the legislature require.
And that's what he was wanting to do.
Right, and I think what he wants makes absolute sense, okay, which is you send the certified mail, and at the same time, you pay for another stamp and send the regular mail.
That's a good fellow point.
Okay, because you know what? In lawsuits for collections, like credit card stuff, I didn't get the mail. Well, is this your address? Yeah. We sent it to that address. It didn't come back. I don't know who opened your mailbox and took it, but we did our job. And that'll work.
So, but in that 4 years, they can challenge the tax deed. That's the risk you run as a tax investor. These things we listed plus that 4 years. But you can file a suit to quiet title.
And then what happens is people get notice. On the thing
You
they
kick
can
for
still,
the proverbial sleeping dogs out there.
you can.
Yeah.
But you can also, as long as you get service of process on them, there's no real defense.
I agree.
I paid.
I agree.
And then
but what if they come forward and say, I will pay, I will pay?
Not I will pay. I paid. It's the past tense thing.
But I will pay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see the no.
I will pay. I
if
didn't
you
know.
Don't have a receipt,
my grandma was in the hospital.
Good for her.
I was in the hospital and I didn't get any of my notices because I was in there. She was in intensive care.
And what have you done for me lately?
That they don't have a defense.
There's no defense.
But you can file suit to quiet title. What's the other thing you can do?
To sell the property or to get rid of the underlying people?
Well, to make your property to where you can get a title insurance policy.
We do tax deed certifications.
Talk to me about those.
We have a title insurance product that, with a special arrangement with an underwriter, if we get an order for one of these things,
where somebody buys a tax
deed and they don't want to wait the 4 years, and who wants to do a quiet title suit if they don't have to? They come to me. I get a copy of the clerk's tax deed file. Sometimes we can download them for free. Sometimes we pay for them. Doesn't matter. Just we get them. And I will examine that tax deed file against the statutory requirements. If those statutory requirements are met, I certify that they are done. It's basically I'm certifying that due process was done.
You're indemnifying the title underwriter.
And we have a title insurance underwriter that will allow Land Title to issue a title insurance product based upon my certification and the fact that my certification is backed up with an E&O policy that will cover them if I'm wrong or somebody challenges it. Somebody challenges it, then,
you defend that.
I defend it.
Right. And you've already done the statutory check. You see that
I'm
everything's there.
Sure,
right.
Yeah.
And that's a fast way because I buy a tax deed today. My actual tax deed is issued to me and I have a tax deed in hand. I come to you. How quickly in St. Johns County could you then turn around and get a certification to where they could then be able to sell their property or get a title insurance policy so they can start working on it or get a loan on it?
It's very fast. I need the tax deed information in St. Johns County is downloadable by anybody.
Right.
And you have to get a title search done by the underwriter to issue the title product. My certification without the title insurance from Land Title is worthless. Okay. And then so you have
the certification, you can pay for the certification, but without a title policy to go with it,
it doesn't do anything.
Garbage.
So
that's an expensive piece of toilet paper.
Right. And so you get a policy for either the assessed value or
what you paid
for it, whichever is more. And then you turn around and you use that and you can have another closing and that'll be used to.
And that can, what's fastest you think that could happen?
I can get my job done within hours.
Okay. And if the title company decides they're going to do the search in house, you can do it in the same day. It could be done in a week. It could be done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Suit to quiet title, how long does that take?
Oh, gosh. It depends on how long it takes to get somebody served.
Okay. Give me an estimate.
I don't know.
Especially if there's dead people.
Well, you got dead people. You got a try service. Then you got to publish and you got, the time for that.
Give me.
It can take forever.
Give me an average. If you had to say, hey, this is an average for a suit to quiet title, what would you say?
At least 6 months in
Okay,
St.
6
Johns
months.
County.
Cost?
$2,500 at least.
At least. Okay. What could it be?
There's no limit.
What if you have to hire an attorney ad litem?
Then that depends on the attorney ad litem. I've seen those things become expensive because they're going to do their work.
Okay, so give me cost.
I've seen a bill for attorney ad litem at $3,500.
So you could have a $6,000 bill or more for a suit to quiet title on a tax deed.
Mm-hmm.
What's the certification cost?
Typically $1,500 for the certification, and then
the title
$500, about $500, so about $2,000, $2,100, but it's instant,
right,
or very close to instant,
right. And I think it's less than $2,000. If you just take the title search and the certification, you're at 17 something or 18 something. Yeah, and then the title insurance is going to be depending on whatever the value.
Minimum of $100, right. Yeah.
Right. So that's what you can do for tax deeds, and I think that's a quick way. And thank heavens we got that product.
Well, it's cheaper than a quiet title suit and way quicker,
faster,
way quicker.
Yeah. So it's just something, an option for you if you're investing in tax deed that gives you one of those options to be able to move things quickly. So we do need it in the show, but let me go ahead and do something I hate to do because I never like giving you heads up on what we talk about. I always like to just throw it at you at last minute. It's more fun. We're going to talk about tax deeds and mobile homes. Okay. So that's,
I ran something by you that wiped your brain out this week.
Yeah. So we're gonna have some fun doing that. So that's going to be because that is an issue. You know, when you buy a tax deed and there's a mobile home there, well, that thickens the plot a little bit, or sickens the plot, as they say. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. But this has been Land Title Talk. We appreciate you listening in. We didn't give you much time for any questions. This show is because of a question that was texted to me. So we appreciate that question being sent to us. Text me at 904-501-4481, 904-501-4481, or you can email me at Stephen@golandtitle.com. That's Stephen, biblical spelling, STEPHEN, at golandtitle.com. And then we'll take the time to address your questions with this good-looking smart guy over here sitting next to me. So thank you very much. We're going to be gone for a week. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you then. Thanks for listening in. I'm Steve Collins from Land Title. Rusty Collins from the Law Office of J. Russell Collins. Rusty, how do they find you if they need you?
904-829-6600.
All right, 904-829-6600. And again, if you want to call Land Title, we encourage you to do so. 904-797-9600, 904-797-9600. But you can also call my cell phone at any time at 904-501-4481. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.